go, we're live.
Let's see how many we get.
Yeah, hopefully lots and lots.
Probably.
Morning, guys. Don't you hide your face, Mark.
I thought one Phil put a comment on and I said, unfortunately, Gav, you're not the main draw this morning.
Not the centre of attention.
I thought that was hilarious.
Welcome in, guys. We'll just let you get settled before we start. So wish you don't miss anything from these guys. It's going to be a good one this morning. Hopefully a new series of these with our guild chatty man, Gabby.
It'll be a new series or one-off.
Yeah, or depending on how you both behave. Good morning, guys. Pop a hello into the chat section. It's lovely. It's always lovely to hear from you. Yes, Gavin Prest meets somebody. Yes, there's a new session. Gary Neville asking. It's lovely to see you guys. Really lovely. I think we can go ahead and get started. So if you've got any questions, guys, pop it into the Q&A section as usual, and we'll keep an eye on them for you. It's going to be a predominantly run by Gavin session this morning, interviewing Mark. So you shouldn't hear a lot from me because these guys will keep you entertained, I'm sure. So over to you.
Right, brilliant. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Mark.
Morning.
Let me just introduce you to, I don't know which side of the screen you're on, the man on my left, if you're on the left of everybody else's, but the legend that is Mr. Mark Lynham. 5 times overall photographer of the year, is it, Mark?
3 photographer of the years, 2 all round. I always get.
Do you know what? I always get those two really confused as well.
I get it, but yeah.
One's 2 categories joined together and one's 1 category, isn't it? And I'm always confused which one's which.
That's it.
Yeah. A real accolade, to be honest, those, Mark. I always think this is that's the toughest thing to ever win because of the amount of images. 66, I think it was, we had to submit.
Yeah, it's a crazy amount. It's just the consistency, isn't it? Because you can have a one-off month, but it's doing it month in, month out. And I did it for 6 years before it came too much for Amanda, and she told me not to do it anymore.
You succumbed to home pressures. So I've got a series of questions here.
Okay.
You've got a series of pictures you want to show us. Hopefully our viewers will probably learn something from this, which is the whole idea of everything like this. So, I mean, where did it start for you, Matt? When did you first pick a camera up? I mean, it's an obvious question to start with.
Well, I started pretty late in life. I had a pocket camera, but I wasn't interested in photography until a friend of mine actually did an Open University course, and that was back in 2012. So I would have been about 48 by then. So really late into it. So I did a 3-month Open University course, basically. Very intense, did very well with it, and then finished it, kind of wanted to learn more. Yeah, I went out looking for things to shoot, but I came across Andrew Appleton, a local studio to me, basically. So I just wanted to go on some workshops. Not that I knew what workshops really were about, apart from I just needed to carry on that learning.
Learning part of the buzz for photography for you then?
Yeah, always. I mean, I'd still class myself now as not a beginner, but every time I go into Photoshop, it's kind of like.
It's a medium that we never ever stop learning in photography, and it's not every time I think your learning curve when you first start off goes like this and then levels off a little bit.
Yeah, it does. So, but yeah, so I contacted. It was a local studio, Saracen House, and I said, "Do you do workshops?" It was like, at the time, it was no, but we've got this guy that's going to start running them. So I went on a workshop. On sort of basic studio lighting. I hadn't used a studio light and I had no interest in studio stuff, to be honest. And it was great. I turned up with all these people with their Canon 5D Mark IIIs and their fancy lenses, and I turned up with my Canon 550D and the kit lens, looking a bit of a twerp. But it was a great day, to be fair. Picked up some stuff and then carried on doing the workshops basically with him. So I did about 15 over time, in all genres, even down to weddings, on camera flash, off camera flash, advanced studio lighting. So just to learn anything about something, because you can put that into anything basically.
When did you just disappear down the route of it has to have wings?
I think over time, I mean, it was when I started, I was shooting anything and everything. So it was just to gain knowledge of photography. So stuff in the garden, macro. We'd go to zoos a lot because it was just easy access. But then I'd always been interested in aircraft, but it was just the standard air show once a year. But I just started notching that up. And over time, it's just become more now down to my passions are modern military aircraft and wildlife. So most of the other stuff I've kind of stopped doing. I've done some stuff with the kids because, like most people that enter IOM, if you've got kids, bloody use them. It's why not?
Something then.
No, exactly. So you've got some people enter IOM that have got their newborns, so I've done that, but most of the time now it's kind of modern military, and I've started going abroad a bit for air shows.
I see you've been travelling Japan. Has you just come back?
Yeah, I did. I went to Japan in February, so I could just kind of sneak that one in. It was touch and go whether we were going to go.
You actually timed that to perfection, probably.
Yeah.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Japan was awesome because they still use Phantoms over there, which is, I mean, I hadn't really seen one for many years.
How old are them? They must be 30, 40 years flying for him.
Older than that. It's probably older than you, mate. But they're going out of service over there. So this is their last year. Yeah, this is their last year over there. So it was kind of like it was the time to do it.
It still fetch a bit second-hand. I must admit, I saw somewhere there was one for sale and it was like £2 million.
Yeah, probably.
I'd want a Phantom in my drive or anything like that.
Yeah. So yeah.
Has anybody influenced your photography then? When you started, did you think, I really followed this work or this person? And
I've got to be honest and say no, really. I don't particularly follow anyone. I'm not very knowledgeable in all the big names. I shoot for myself. I edit for myself. Everything I do in photography, it really is for me. Or for the last 6 years. The last year has been a bit different, but when I started shooting, it was to gain knowledge of everything. Then I joined the guild. I joined the guild because I went on the Andrew Appleton workshops and he was a panel member. Mm. So you got discounts on workshops if you join the guild. And because I was doing so many, he said, just join the guild. I had no interest in the guild. He said, just join the guild and you'll get your money back. And I got my money back within about 3 workshops.
That's one of the things I think a lot of people probably don't realise about the guild, that there is an awful lot of discounts available to go hunting for.
Yeah, exactly. So I got my membership back within 3 workshops. But he said, look, you've got some nice images, stick it into IOM. And I had no idea what IOM was. So I started entering images. So my first year, I was just sticking shitloads in, 6 in one category, which is a big no-no, because obviously only your first 3 count. Yeah. And I missed out on a few because I got some silvers, but they were number 5s and number 6s. So only 1, 2, and 3 count. So, it was the IOM that kind of hooked me into photography well and truly, to be fair.
Somebody's just filled us in when Phantoms started service. Gary Neville has just posted 1960, so slightly older than me, but not by much, I must admit.
Well, there you go. Well, these, the Eagles, 1963, so they're still flying now.
Joking. Oh my goodness, we feel old now.
Yeah.
But does inspiration come from anywhere then? Do you get any inspiration from anywhere? Is there anything you look at and think, oh, that'd be quite cool?
I mean, I've got a lot of aviation friends, obviously, so I get a lot of inspiration just from people that, I mean, a lot of people I know have got really such good access that I'll never get. I don't know about inspiration. I just look around on the internet. I just look at images on sites, and then maybe I just think that's really good. I get really, I'm at the stage. I get really excited about certain lighting if it falls really well on something. Even if it's a sheep.
Maybe we have to
but colour grading, I love things like colour grading, things like that.
We've got a few pictures to show us, haven't we? Do you want to share the screen and pop a few up, and we'll carry on that whilst we can look and let the viewers look at some pictures of yours rather than just us two.
So what do you want to see? So I've got.
Let's start somewhere.
I've got my 2018 images. So the 2018
from the whole of the IOM.
Yeah, from the whole of the, so that would be. Hang on a minute. So the IOM 2018.
Do you miss the IOM? You don't compete anymore because you backed out. Was it?
I got told not to enter.
I
had 2 years of saying to myself I wasn't going to do it anymore. It takes up a lot of time if you're really going for it, and it takes up a lot of headspace. And I do tend to work on my own. So whilst I'm in kind of buddy groups, I've been in and out buddy groups. I've helped start some up, and I've been in buddy groups. I tend to go with my heart on my images, on my edits, because that is me, that is pure. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. So yeah, so all these images are from my last year of IOM. So they range from wildlife to aviation to obviously my son George.
We've just had a quick question, which is an interesting one. Have you ever thought of running workshops yourself? I think that's what you meant.
Yes, I've thought about it. I have a real confidence problem in that I think when you've got people like yourself running workshops, Andrew Appleton, I don't think I'm that good. And I don't want to say that in a just, you are, but I don't think, I just think myself, I'm learning all the time. I get some good images. I get some shit images. I edit some shit images. I don't post them. What's the point? I edited something for a couple of hours the other day, and in the end just kind of walked out the room and swore at the computer.
I think that's quite an interesting point on editing and looking at your own images, because sometimes you can, this is one of the images, just once this just popped up, this is one image that always reminds me of you. I don't know why it sticks in my mind. The position of the aircraft is almost surreal to the normal way you see these things flying.
Yeah.
But in an image, if somebody said, name a Mark Lynham image, it would be this one. Yeah. I would always go to.
It's an image I love. What I've done, I've got some before and afters, because what I get a lot of, and there's this image in particular is one. I've got a motocross image that I'll put up. Is, but you put the clouds in. I'm not going to lie, I do put clouds in on some images because I think it can make an image. But if you've got clouds at air shows, and to be honest, a lot of the time you do get clouds at air shows, then they're there. This is a Lightroom edit predominantly. The only thing I did in Photoshop on this image was because I'd edited quite heavy, I'd got halos around the plane. So I just went in and got rid of the halos around the aircraft.
Now it's gone back down to being a 66 then.
Right, there you go.
Oh, classic.
But on the whole, it was a Lightroom edit. I use brushes a lot in Lightroom.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot. So I've got some of my own basic presets that I use.
Do you think you've got your own style of edit with aircraft?
I would say I have, only because after a while people say certain things to you, and I do tend to go for the dark side. And my Master Craftsman panel was aviation arts, and I do like clouds. So again, no added clouds on that one. But and I'm looking for shots that show, something dynamic. Because the shed loads of people go to air shows. We're all standing in virtually the same spot. So, you know, that was at Scampton, not bronze, but I like the shot. Sometimes you take an image and it kind of doesn't do well in IOM, and you know, when you look back on it, you kind of think on that one, I like it, but maybe the nose is very near the left-hand side, which
do you think
well.
the IOM steered your photography away from a direction you wanted it to go in? Because I always believe that at the end of the day, the only person that should like that image is you. If you put it into competition, that's a different element, because it has to like ticking boxes.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, I shoot for me. I know now, after
that guy looking out the window at you, that's amazing.
I mean, this now it has become a very popular shot. I've actually cropped it totally different now, which would not have gone down well in IOM. But you know, for IOM, you've got to have certain things. Like with aircraft, you've got to have space for the plane to fly in. And I was still messing up in the last year. And I wonder if the shot's going to come up, where I just wasn't getting the crop right for the judges. But I had a major problem that for me, the crop was right, but for the judge, for the IOM, it wasn't right.
Right.
So, I mean, I really love sort of this image, but it didn't do well for IOM. Having said that, it got a bronze, so it did do well for IOM. So
yeah, that's a good score. I mean, people dismiss certain scores, but they are.
But they do, and
it's a good score.
You know, I always entered an image. You know, I throw my toys out the pram as much as the next man. Maybe not so much as some people, but I mean, it's. But you know, because I have expectations, but I would go into IOM. Would I expect a gold? No, I'd expect a bronze, because I wouldn't. What's the point in submitting an image that you don't think's going to get a bronze?
There's always that element of the unknown, I think, with the IOM. I mean, people try to put it into boxes and tick things, and there is certain boxes to tick. There's always that unknown element, and the unknown element is connection.
Yeah.
Almost, you know, it connects. You know, the judges of any competition are looking at images totally cold, and they've got to be warmed, or it's got to register something for that.
No, absolutely.
You know, apart from all the other categories, there's that extra bit of just that, like, wow. Or
yeah, and I mean, I look at images. A lot of the images now, I look at it in more depth because I haven't got my own to look at an IOM, and I think a lot of the problem is the editing.
Where do you sit on the fence with editing?
Well, I love it. Yeah. For me, editing is as much a part of my photography as taking the image. And when I take the photo, that's for me is the starting point, and it can go where I want it to go. I get some images and I get back and I have no enthusiasm for them at all. Yet I get others where I get ideas of where I want to take them. But it's, you know, we've heard the analogy, haven't we? When you take your raw image, it's just like having the ingredients for your cake, but you haven't made the cake yet. And with your processing, you could, you know, in the hands of a good cook, you'll get a good cake, and in the hands of a shit cook, you'll get a shit cake. Just the ingredients are the same, but the outcome is could be totally different. And I have to say, having George as my muse, really, through my photography journey, when I did my Open University course, I used George. He was a lot younger, but I've been very lucky to have such a good-looking sod to take photos of it, and he loves it. I mean, gosh, you know, absolutely loves it. So
a living subject like that is an absolute gift, isn't it? To be quite
it's great. If I want to try stuff, you know, can we do this? Absolutely, you know. So
he's such a great guy as well, though, isn't he? He's great.
He's lovely. And you know, most of the stuff we've shot at home. So this was against our dining room wall, which we just happened to paint grey, but it's just, you know, a studio light, a beauty dish, just so it's one light. But, you know, when you've got someone that looks like he does, then you kind of helped yourself, and he's keen. We'd go through posing stuff and that, and he'd have ideas, you know, so... but it's a constant learn, and we've had such great times as a family with the photography. We had some not so good times at the start of my IOM journey, because before I got into proper wildlife, we'd go to our local zoo, which was Whipsnade Zoo, and I'd be shooting the animals and that. But I was so consumed with doing well at IOM, I would ruin the day out for the family because I wanted certain shots.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, well, it does. It can consume you, and I've seen people along the way get consumed with IOM, and it just, yeah, it's not a pretty sight, unfortunately.
I only played in it for 2 years, because then I became a panel member after the second year.
Yeah.
On the third year.
Yeah. So my journey's kind of, yeah. So it's kind of, my wildlife journey changed when we went to Bempton Cliffs. There was a guild member.
Just up the road from me, that?
Yeah, we went to see Marie Warwick, who's a guild member, the one who nearly got a platinum. But I went down there early one morning and saw a barn owl. And the only time I'd seen a barn owl before was a bird of prey centres. So, and that just got me hooked then on proper wildlife. And we didn't go to a zoo after that. So this is the son and the daughter.
Is this in your living room full of leaves, or did you shoot this?
That was in the dining room. So I just swept the lawn, swept the drive full of leaves, and I just thought, let's have a bit of fun on a Saturday night. So we chucked the leaves down on the floor. It's a wooden floor, it's not carpeted.
All spiders and everything.
And the kid, George, was up for it. Charlotte was not so up for it, especially when there was a couple of spiders in the leaves. So we had to do a bit of clearing, but I think we tried it. Did it work? I don't know. Got a bronze. We had a few comments because it's son and daughter, and some people felt it was a bit awkward.
Is that leaf in the top right-hand corner here?
The out of focus ones. I put in some out of focus ones because I wanted it to do the form.
It being out of focus, I think, which knocks a couple of marks on this fact that it's bright. It's pulling.
Yeah. You bloody judges. So. I do sometimes shoot. Well, I don't do a lot in the studio, to be fair. I'll whip through these. I'm not overly comfortable with kind of too many shots like these. And it sounds. I don't know whether it sounds odd. I prefer shooting men.
I know where you're
really odd. I shot these. It's funny because I like my Star Wars with the stormtroopers and stuff. So the model brought some knickers along that she thought I'd like. So I'll whip through that. I kind of like that one because it's darker. It's how I go. So back to the planes. Didn't do too well. So George, our son's gay, but he does drag. And we've had it was a bit of a thing in the family. It's not your son comes out as gay, whoop-de-doo. But then, yeah, we came across that he was doing a lot of makeup in his bedroom and stuff, and he was dressing up. But in the end, just embraced it, and we did a shoot. And this was our first shoot as George being, as he was then, Georgie Rose. And we had fun. To be fair, I had to have a few drinks before I shot him, because it was a bit odd. But it was good fun. It was really awkward to start off with when we started shooting. He was awkward because it's dad just finding out he does this sort of
probably
thing.
A great way to sort it all out.
Yeah. So in the end, we had such a blast. I kind of went into Austin Powers mode, really, and we just had a blast. And it was kind of just broke all into it. So. But again, he loved them, basically.
George do all his own makeup?
George does his own makeup, yeah.
Phenomenal.
I think he was better then than he is now, to be honest, but there we go. But yeah, he does all his own makeup. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, things like in that image, he forgot to do his nails, so I had to put some nails on him. So a bit of wildlife.
Where did you start? I mean, I know you've gone down the mirrorless route now. How did you find the transformation from mirrorless to DSLR to mirrorless? How's that been for you?
I suppose I'm still getting used to it. I do like it. I mean, I went to mirrorless because I was having problems with a Canon 1DX Mark II. I've already had problems with the Mark 1.
Was it throwing oil?
Yeah, I used to get oil splatters on my stuff. And so in the end, I tried Olympus, and I loved Olympus because it was so small, and I had a 300-2.8 lens, which was great. I just did not like the quality of the images. They didn't seem to like heavy editing. It was almost like editing JPEGs.
Right.
Might have just been me, but I just didn't get on with it. So I got rid of that and then went to now shoot a Sony A9. And mainly I went to Sony because of the silent shooting for wildlife, because it's great. I was out with Henry Ransby last year, and we were out trying to get shots of her hair, and we was waiting, we was laying down, not as a couple, but we was laying down, and if the hair was getting nearer and nearer, I clicked off one shot with my 1DX, and the hair went.
They do hear them things. They're like somebody dropping their kit.
Yeah. The Sony, silent shooting, it's just fantastic.
I remember once being in front of a registrar when I was shooting Canon, and there was a moment that happened, and she'd sort of told me, the rules of the wedding ceremony, and this shot just happened, and I pressed it. And honestly, the look I got from the registrar, I took the chance and got the image, but the shutter going off on my Canon was particularly noisy in the silent.
So I've kept my Canon stuff because I just thought, well, it's kind of that safety net. But I haven't picked up my Canon in over 6 months now. I just enjoy using the Sony. For me, being wildlife and aviation, I've got 20 frames a second, so
it's almost video speed, that, isn't it?
Well, it is, isn't it? It's just great. There's this kind of myth that everything's lighter, but if you're going for the glass, as you know, the glass is just as heavy. I took early retirement last year, and I treated myself to the 600 f4. It's exactly the same weight as the Canon 600 f4. So there's no, the camera's lighter, but then you need I've got the double battery pack at the back to almost balance the whole lot out. Otherwise, it's just too light. So, but I love using the Sony. I still need to. I'm not really technical, so I need to still figure out all the menus. So
it's a selfie then.
A little selfie, and this was quite good fun. I'd lost a bit of weight. I went down from 14 stone to this was just over 12 stone. So I treated myself to a new suit.
Nice suit, that.
At the same time of treating myself to a new suit, I bought myself a new softbox, which was an Ellen Crom 135. And George was away. How rude. And everyone was out, and I thought, I just got my new suit, got my new softbox, I need to do a shot. So I set it all up in the lounge and just having a play. I put the phone in the shot, so the phone's the trigger.
And just out of curiosity, did you get a phone case to match the colour edition of your suit?
It's just fluke, isn't it?
It's OCD on a whole different level to myself.
Maybe a bit of Photoshop in there. I tried so many ways of shooting the shot, hiding, crossing your arms and stuff. And in the end, I thought, well, if it looks stupid, so make it obvious you've got a phone. So that's how, in the end, I shot it. And actually, people say, don't share your stuff on your Facebook that you might enter into IRM. I didn't think I'd enter this into IRM. For me, it was just a selfie. It looked quite nice. And I uploaded it to my Facebook page and got so many comments, I thought, sod it, I'll enter it into IRM.
Is it just the one light as well?
Yeah, just the one light. Yeah. I tend to use one. I'm not into, for me, there's no prizes for how many lights you use. Some people use 3, and it's just kind of like, well, if you can do it with 1, why use 3?
Exactly, yeah. Learn to master one and learn it to do it well.
Well, exactly. So that's one light, and that softbox is it's such a beautiful light. So George turned up. I mean, that was just kind of, it was on a different day. Didn't work as much with the two of us, but sometimes we want photos for ourselves as well. But then if they'll go into IOM, and I was doing a year of doing 2 categories, so you do it. So back to aviation.
You can almost, you'd recognise the pilot of that Hurricane.
Yeah, well, this is kind of a simple shot. So, I mean, okay, so on this one, it was a blue sky. So I've added, I used some this brushes basically, but I've just put some blur on the patterns of the brush that I've used. Because as the sky was, the shot was good. It's nice. There's nothing wrong with the shot. But again, for IOM, it's always pushing you to do a better image with what you've got. So if I would have entered that with a blue sky, it would have got a bronze because it's nice, but it would have stopped there.
Out of interest with aviation photography, I did quite a bit of equestrian photography, and what you think is a great photographic for a photographer and maybe a competition for somebody involved in the equestrian scene, it isn't. There's a very specific way to capture horses. The front legs need to be folded under, the ears forward, the rider's neck, hands at the side of the neck, just on its back, hooves leaving the floor, all this sort of thing. Is there a similar sort of rule to aviation photography? As in
I don't think there's any rules. I think the only thing you've got with aviation is it's the way you'll take a shot, say for an aircraft in the sky that's displaying, you want to use the high shutter speed, but when it's coming into land, you'll go right down on your shutter speed, so you've got that feeling of movement. Likewise, if you're shooting your propellers like that, you'll go down on your shutter speed because you want the prop blur. No one likes seeing a bloody Airfix model stuck up in the sky with those frozen propellers. That is a shit shot, and you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of people get those, and if they like them, then that's great. But I like shots at air shows where the aircraft's just taking off, because once the plane gets above the heads of the people and it's going out, it's got the afterburners on, and you'll get to a point where every air show where it will just kick up, come round. But when you're getting it low, you get that feeling that you're on an air-to-air shoot.
Right.
Because of the perspective of it all. Once it's up in the sky, then it's. But I like the taking off shots, and just as it's coming out and banking off.
Do you tend to sit there with one lens on at an air show? Are you always swapping them for shots?
I tend to have two lenses. So the 500 f4 is my go-to lens. But then I'll have the 300 2.8 or a 70-200. Because obviously you'll get things like the red arrows where you need to get everything in. And also when the Lancaster's about, it's normally with a Spitfire and a Hurricane, so you need a wider angle, really. So, but
is there any shots you think, I should have got that and I've missed?
Yeah, a lot of shots, really, quite a few. You've got the red arrows crossing over is always the shot, and it's always the one, which buggy do you focus on? So you're panning in one shot, then you're hoping it goes in front, and then it will go in the back, and then you've got a blurred shot. So,
or your camera picks up the tree in the distance.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I've never tried aviation photography, so I'll take your word for it.
Aviation's great, and I've just started doing, as probably a lot of people have seen, some certain edits of aviation planes. Yeah, they're obviously all planes, but sort of statics. I don't really do statics because they're boring. But recently we went to California and we got some really nice old planes, and they were kind of record shots, but I've just made them into kind of art pieces. So yeah, red arrows. I thought that might have got better than a bronze, but I
think that's a good point about your images. Actually, they are pieces of aviation art rather than pictures of aircraft. I think that's very distinctive.
Yeah. This one, I liked it. It was that's a composite. Because I was on an air base, and the background, the Spitfire and the tarmac is as it was, but then the trees in the background and the clouds are two other shots. I just wanted a kind of a nice clean shot of the Spitfire. I didn't really expect anything more than a bronze. I could have edited it a bit better, but it's nice.
It'd be interesting to see some of your edits. You say you've got some before and afters?
I've got a few before and afters. I'll just finish these.
That's a cracking. That just go back one, Mark. That is.
So that one,
picture.
the pilot loved. So I'd sent that one to the pilot, and we've become sort of friends. So he's got that on his wall.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, it'll be something he'll cherish forever now as well. That, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He retires and
yeah,
tells his grandkids what he used to do, and
I got a couple of free patches, so I was happy.
excellent.
This is a shot. Before we go on to the before and afters, very quickly, I loved, but I appreciate for IOM, I didn't give it enough room for it to fly in. And I was gutted actually with this one that it got a bronze, because I just liked that it was just totally.
You could almost read the notes on the navigation.
Yeah, the fact that it was side on. What I loved was the greens, where the greens meet the yellow with wings.
Is this in Wales then? Is this the Mac Loop?
Yeah, that's the Mac Loop, which I don't go to anymore because it's all kind of changed and it's a lot quieter than it used to be, and it's just not worth for me spending out round trip. So
I had a question from Emma. What is your favourite, or what is your favourite image? The one that you've taken? I mean, is the one?
I've got a couple, and one is of the tornado that was in this lot, but it's just a slightly different twist to it. I've just cropped it different. And I took a photo of a stag last year, which I absolutely love, that's done really well. And I'll show you a before and after of that one.
Just had another question as well from Jonathan saying, how do you achieve the black sky in the Vader shots? Is that a will be coming to that in your before and after?
You kind of desaturate it. That's all it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a really cloudy day.
There's always clouds about. Some of them will have. I use cloud brushes.
Okay.
And just tinker around with them till I get something I like. But generally on those, it's desaturating the background or with hints of blue. But I take the blue out of a lot of aircraft. So on most, like a lot of aircraft are grey, but they'll have a bluey grey, and I just tend to get rid of all the blues in them. I've got a before and after of the frog, and I've got a before and after of the dunnock, because that was at the end of the year, and I got sort of 3 golds, which kind of did it, obviously. But they're really simple images taken from the garden, edited in Lightroom, but it's just the way you edit, just to draw your attention to the subject, and that's the biggest thing with IOM.
I often think, personally, that less is often more.
Less is often more, and I think, and I've been guilty of it, and I see IOM, and it's people try and be too fancy and complicate things too much, and you really don't need to. And that got a bronze, and that was the shot we were going for. Reminds me of the Fade to Grey Visage album.
Oh, God, we're showing our age now, mate.
Oh, we are, and George had never heard of it, so it was quite spooky. So there was nothing going on.
Steve Strange, he was a fashion icon. Steve Strange, wasn't he?
Exactly, and this is just us. This is me getting my my light level, because I don't use a light meter. I know I should do. I use the histogram on the back of the camera, and this is. He said, "Am I all right texting while you're getting a light level?" So this is him texting. I liked the edge of the beauty dish, which is what that line is. I just thought it was okay, and it still worked.
There's a storyline to it. There's something going on, you know.
Yeah, do you know there is? And I looked at it and I thought, actually, I'm going to enter that, because I like it. It's storytelling. It's quirky.
I mean, storytelling can go down into your aircraft as well. You know, even a simple plane in the sky, so to speak, can still have a narrative to it. You know, what's it doing? Why is it doing it?
I mean, I like this shot of George. I mean, we've got a hot tub in the garden, and it's right under, it's by the house. And this is George in the hot tub. And I'm actually shooting out of the bedroom window, George's bedroom window, looking down on him. But he's got such a good look about him.
It's classic. Does he actually do this full time? Is that where he's heading?
He's kind of... He's doing a 3-year degree in performing arts, so he does drag, but drag comes second to his education, basically. So whilst he's studying, he hasn't done much for quite a while, but he goes to shows to help out and things. All right, so that's those. So shall I get some before and afters then?
Yeah, I think everybody would be really intrigued in those, including myself. You know, before and afters always go down the storming in under-publicised. Is there anything where's your photography going to go then? What are you going to do next?
I actually don't know. I had a property management company for many years, which I sold last year because it was just doing my head in, and I worked alone, and it was stressing me out too much. I'm 56 now, and I just thought, it's an industry that no one really took notice of many years ago, and now everyone hates a landlord and a property management agent, and I just thought I can't be arsed with it anymore, so I sold it, and I'm just taking a couple of years out to find myself, and then I'll take it from there. But I just want to do as much photography as I can. I've had some trips into California, to Japan, which I've never been able to do before.
You're still in love with it then?
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. So this image, this was one. A guild organised day at motocross. The guy, where's the image? Okay, yeah. So, and this was Lightroom. So again, this is one of the ones. Oh, you've stuck a cloud in it. Well, I haven't stuck a cloud in it. It's just there you go.
I've seen you clone the dust spot out anyway above his head.
And a lot of it's brush work. It's like with brushes in Lightroom, you can still do dodge and burn in Lightroom. You've got your brushes, you just do a lighter brush and a darker brush. And like here, you just whack some on his arms and his legs. It was actually a shot. He's actually looking at a guy standing a few feet away that he knew, but it looked like he was looking at me, and it just works. It's different. It's unusual. You do the crop, you get the post out of the way.
It's quite uncanny, the fact that I don't know what length of lens you shot this on, but
that's 7200. You go there expecting the shot. You've got the Aaron Gent shot. The gold he got when he went on a day. Where they're going round, and you've got all the mud going up everywhere. And I kind of didn't get those shots anyway. But this one, to me, when I go through my files from a day out, there's certain images for me that immediately grab my attention. And when it's grabbed my attention, I just go in and edit it. And that's just how I work. Sometimes I'll go through the whole lot of images and flag the ones that I think are okay. Other times it sticks out like a sore thumb, and I just go in and edit it, and it's ready to go.
I think you can tell you what got the mud shots, because looking at his bike, it's very dry. Was it quite a dusty sort of?
It was a dusty day, so hence why certain shots weren't very good. So we're going back to the Raptor image now. So this was, again, it was Lightroom apart from halos, because it was just such a heavy edit, but that's out the camera. And I would say that most people would just bin that. But, there's nothing, what's going on. It's just a plane in the sky. But, there you go. You crop it.
You draw the detail out of it. And just in Lightroom, you say?
Yeah, that was all Lightroom. As I say, I took it into Photoshop to get rid of the halos, because it was quite a lot. And I noise reduce in Photoshop. I use a plug-in, Imagenomic Noiseware. I really like it. So I think in Photoshop, I got rid of the halo. I do a noise. I do two layers then, two merged visible layers. The first layer, I will use the Noiseware software on it. And then the layer above that, I will do a high pass filter sharpening layer, and then I put a mask on that and sharpen where I want to.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's
have you been down the Capture One route and had a look at that? I
haven't been down to the Capture One route at all. No, I kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
I don't shoot. I think if I maybe shot more portraits, then maybe I would go into it, because it's meant to be better for tethering. But I've got all my own Lightroom presets that I use for my aviation. They're all ready to go, and it's just I get into almost now autopilot mode.
So how long does it take to do an image like that? How long will you spend on it? Does it vary?
I think it just varies hugely. The ones I'm doing at the moment, the darker edit ones I'm doing, which I do before and after, they're in like an hour and a half. Which is, I get people, people have said, can you do a webinar on it? And I've got mixed feelings on that, but I'm still learning.
I think we'll get some comments if people will be interested in that. I'm sure they'll let us know.
So again, this image, this got a gold. That's it.
Wow.
That's you chuck that in the bin every day. I took this photo because Amanda was talking on the phone to one of the kids, and I just thought, I looked at that, and what got me was the moisture on the cockpit. That's kind of what got my attention. I love the orange tones. I love the moisture falling off of it. So that's kind of when I got at home and I saw it, and I thought, okay, well, let's just make the image all about the cockpit.
Yeah.
And it's kind
the colouring of it works so well, doesn't it?
Again, people have said, did you do something to the clouds? No, if you look at the clouds, they're the same, soft wispy clouds.
It's quite remarkable what's actually in the image, what the camera's recording. This is shooting Canon when you were still a Canon, was it?
Yeah, so that's a 7200. So the only thing I did in Photoshop really for this was the sharpening, and I moved the tail because the tail was too far to the left. It wasn't centred, so I just moved it.
I'm sure the aircraft manufacturer would have loved that.
Yeah, so this is a frog in the pond in the garden. So it started as that, it was fantastic seeing the frog coming out from the lily pad. So, and this was just purely Lightroom and just really taking away the obvious distractions and then just cropping and drawing the eye to the frog. That's the whole point of it, of the image. It's the frog.
You're a big radial filter user then in Lightroom.
I use radial filter a lot for vignettes because you can move it around, basically.
One of my most used tools, I must admit.
Yeah, radial filter and the brush.
I edit very similar to you would in a darkroom, to be quite honest.
Yeah. So this one obviously is probably one of my favourite images because it's just, for me, to get the stag looking at you like that, the colours. But I'll show you the before. And we've all got shots like this, probably. The shot I went for, was with all the ferns in the antlers and stuff and all that. But actually, it kind of reminds me. It's almost like a studio shot. The light.
Like you can touch it almost.
Yeah, the light was coming across. It was beautiful. It was a bit noisy in the image, but again, I find that the Noiseware software is really good. And then it's just getting that autumnal palette to work. Do
you ever print your pictures?
I have printed this one, and it's a bit of a tricky one. I've printed and framed it, and it doesn't look good because the glass reflections take away from the image.
You print yourself?
No, I don't print myself. I tried it. I haven't got the patience for it, really. But something I might try at a later date. But that is one of my kind of probably all-time favourites because it just works, the depth on that, and that's with the Sony A9 and the Sony 200-600 lens.
Do you notice any difference between the Sony glass and the Canon glass?
It's different when you come to editing, and I think I said this to you the other day. I find the colours are slightly different. The blacks for me seem better.
I think a lot of portrait photographers notice it on skin tones, apparently, because Canons are quite famous for having nice warm skin tones.
Yeah, but that's that one. So this little Dunnock again in the garden, and actually shot. I mean, how many of us have got probably shots like that in the garden? Lots. But I was drawn to that as an IOM entry because it was a nice pose by the Dunnock. The feet are just lovely. It's just a nice little. So you've got your obvious work to do to make that. So that's it. It's a nice shot of a Dunnock, and you could have just cropped in on it a bit, put in a vignette, and off you go. But for an IOM entry, you've got to make it more than that. So, and it's got the space on the right for it to look into. It's all sharp. And what I do find in IOM, and I found it looking, I suppose because I've got more time to look through now, there's a lot of over sharpening going on in IOM. And I don't know whether that's third-party plugins, because I know there's certain software that people might topaz and things like that.
I think Lightroom on a default setting, when you import, puts a certain amount of sharpening on it, and I tend to turn it off personally, and I think some people may not.
I turn it off. Again, people don't use the masking feature in Lightroom. There's a sharpening slider, but there's 3 other sliders to use as well. And I think it's easily overlooked. But again, for if I want something nicely sharpened, I have, I'll use a sharpening brush in Lightroom, and just, you put the you'll do a general sharpening, but then you'll brush on sharpening exactly where you want it. But I like sharpening in Photoshop with the high pass filter. I just think you've got so much more control over it. And I find, a lot of people, there's a famous wildlife photographer, Andy Rouse. His images, they're good images, but they're sharpened to beyond belief, and it just ruins the image. So I don't know what he's doing, but I see that's down to him.
I think with a lot of editing, it's knowing when to stop, isn't it?
I think it is, and I over edit as much as the next man, but it's kind of we're learning. I'm always learning, and you try things, and your initial edit when you try something, it could be great, and sometimes it's shit. You kind of the times I've had an image where I've edited something and I'm like, oh my god, I love it, and then you go and have a coffee and come back and you think, oh shit. and that's kind of what it is with IOM entries, isn't it? You're happy with your image, but you need to have fresh eyes.
I do think it's a good thing to take yourself away from the images for a while.
Definitely. I think with IOM, get your images ready, and I entered last minute as much as a lot of other people do. But what I tended to do was the day before. I could never get ready for IOM until the 21st gone past. I could never edit on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th for IOM. My mindset just wouldn't do it. Once the 21st is out the way and you've had your little post and a little moan, then I could get on to getting the images ready. But then what I found is the last day before entry, I would look at them with fresh eyes, and flip the image, solar curve it, and all stuff like that. And then I'd enter them with fresh eyes. I've been in buddy groups. I'll be honest, I didn't really show many of my images in buddy groups, because for me, I was confident in my own ability. And what I found sometimes I got one of those aircraft images. I was in a buddy group and I got told not to enter it. And I thought, so that sat on my hard drive for over a year because it doesn't work. So in the end, I just entered it and you got a gold.
Yeah. So
you kind of think, okay, so buddy groups are great. They really are great. But I think they should be, the whole idea of a buddy group for me is a fresh pair of eyes to look over an image. And looking at Kevin Pengelly's webinar, on the IOM, the amount of post-processing mistakes that are missed, and people are in buddy groups. And I'm in one, and there was a mistake came up and I missed it. Yeah,
as a judge, I must admit, sitting on the other side of the fence, as a judge, you see an image and you think, oh, wow. And then if you find a mistake, it's heartbreaking for us as judges because it's doing well. And then you're just like, oh, no, what?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's sometimes so obvious, a second pair of eyes may have seen it, or the author of the image is so engrossed in the image that they just miss a really obvious thing. And then when they see it, they can't unsee it. But it's really sad.
The thing with I've had images, and once you see a fault, like you say, that's all you can see.
Yeah.
So, so I've done some of these kind of edits recently, which seem to have gone down well, and some people have tried it out themselves. We was in America, and for my birthday, we went to an outside museum at Miramar, which is home of Top Gun. So we saw these images.
Come out, are you?
Yeah, so so images like this, you're next to a main road. It was full of distractions. So I took them in. You take them because you're there, you're on holiday, and they're record shots. And then I edited a Harrier, and it worked out quite nice actually. So I just went round all these planes on these little pods. I just went round and edited in the same style, and they seem to have worked out quite nicely.
Mm. Well, it's so much different, isn't it? It's just
you've gone from being a record shot to something you'd have on your wall.
Yeah.
And for me, that's where photography and editing join. You've got your photo. You can leave it like that out of the camera. You know, it's nice. You know, it's an aircraft and it's nice. That you'd stick on your wall.
Yeah. It's this is where it becomes art. You know, I'm a bit like yourself on the editing front. I don't mind it. I think we've got this box of tools that we're allowed to use. Why not use them all?
Yeah.
I'll always put the argument across of, you know, did Picasso only ever have one paintbrush? I doubt it very much. You know, he didn't paint
No,
one.
exactly. So
you know, some people are the old school purist photographers, but even the old black and white work from the 50s, the Hollywood portraits and things like that, are all massively retouched.
no, exactly. So
I tell you what, I can't believe where the hour's gone.
No, absolutely. Well, I've done a feed. Shall I just run through very quickly?
Absolutely, yeah.
Some images. So since IOM, I just thought I'd grab a few. Again, one of George's is against our dining room wall. Yeovilton Air Show. This was a balance of shutter speeds between getting some movement in the propeller, but then trying to freeze the flares. So I think I was at 1/320th, whereas typically for a propeller I'd be down to 1/80th. But it was just a fine balance. Again, you couldn't have asked for better clouds on the day.
Is this the Harrier you just mentioned?
Yeah, so that's a Harrier, the air tattoo last year.
Really? Around that.
I know, so that's what I would class as a spirited departure from the air tattoo. So that was again 1/80th, but again this is where you know there's certain shots that you use certain shutter speeds for, and this is a low shutter speed because you want the movement. If I'd have shot that at a high shutter speed, it would have looked pants.
And then you just panned with it basically as well, just do a little
you pan with it. And I'm hands up. I'm a spray and prayer when it comes to stuff like that, because you need one shot. So if I've taken 40 shots and 39 are blurred and one's good, that's it. It's not a competition for how many shot. You want one sharp shot.
I think with moving subjects like that, it's probably the way. But
yeah. Exactly. So this was from a trip to California. This was at 1/80th, so an 80th of a second. So you've got that nice blur.
I remember these A10s because we used to have a range up the road at RAF Cowden, which was a bombing range, and we used to have Vulcans drop things on there in the old days. And the A10s used to come along, and I tell you what, when that Gatling goes off and you're on the road next to it, it's like somebody's punctured all your tyres at once.
Yeah. It's the first time for me really seeing the A10. So that's from a Scotland trip we did in February. One from Japan. So again here, that was the Phantom's up in the sky, so I'd be at a higher shutter speed there than I would be here. So this was at 125th of a second, because you're panning when it's coming down. So now a lot of these I didn't get. This one's okay, but a lot of them aren't totally sharp. But I want one sharp one of a plane looking like this with a blurry background.
Do you pick a particular focal area of the aircraft to pick?
I tend to aim for the cockpit.
Cockpit, yeah, like a driver.
For me, the cockpit, it's kind of it's where the attention is, isn't it? A lot that certainly when I'm panning, it's the cockpit.
Interesting fact, the shutters. Oh, that's a cool picture.
So this was again in Japan. This is an F-15 Eagle coming into land. So it's on some finals, and we were right on the edge of the base. And the beauty of this base was it snows all the time. So the snow pops the most gorgeous light underneath the aircraft.
Like a massive reflector.
Yeah, basically, it's unreal. Absolutely unreal. So this was taken with a 24-70 at 24mm. I was lying down in the snow, just shooting up, basically. I had 3 eagles coming in, and this was the final eagle that I got the shot I wanted. I wanted the barbed wire because it was that kind of military feel to it.
Well, the barbed wire makes the photograph, doesn't it? I mean, the wide angle is slightly distorted. The barbed wire is all what mankind's all about in warfare, isn't it?
Exactly. So it's an image I love. you know, okay, the barbed wire's wonky, I don't care. So again, you know, the snow's just popping in. It's a different backdrop as well. It's just so nice. So again, taking off shots will be a lot lower shutter speed to get that movement.
Do you like airplanes with or aircraft with the wheels down better than up?
I prefer them up.
What's the scale this picture's got? Look at the little tiny guy down here.
This was not what I expected to happen. So we was there shooting the Eagles that were about ready to go off, and then everything got put on hold. And this is Japan's Air Force One plane, basically, their presidential plane. So yeah, that's a 500 minute. That was a 200 600 at 200. So that was no cropping at all.
Bit of compression on that long lens as well, hasn't there?
Yeah. So, and that's just not a great shot, but it shows that it was a military air base, but mixed in with a sort of air commercial as well. So it's really unusual.
Oh, your famous stormtroopers.
Yeah, so that's kind of few more of the recent ones.
Well,
So.
I think this is. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, Mark. I think it's been eye-opening and just phenomenal set of images. So, you know, what's Friday night for Mark normally? When you're allowed out?
Friday night for me typically is going down my local pub with my dad. My dad's in his 80s, and it's something I look forward to. At the moment, I've not seen him in 9 weeks because of lockdown. We live in the same town, so
yeah.
Friday night at the moment's like any other night. We get to about 3 o'clock. The G&T seems to find its way open, and then we tend to finish off with a bottle of red. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Friday for me is our landlord delivering beer, because he still delivers beer to our houses, and a gang of us get together on Zoom and have our usual pub corner. We just do it over the internet now.
Cool. I was going to show you actually. Where's that last little image? It's an image that for me, I love. This was IOM Awards night some years back when I made the foolish mistake of counting, and I thought I'd won. And they announced the runner-up, and I think you may have won it this year. And so when they announced the runner-up and it wasn't me, I assumed I'd won, and I came fourth. I threw my toys out of my pram, big start. I poured a whole pint of lager over Amanda's new dress, but it ended up with. Steve and Leslie know how passionate I am about IOM, and Steve came over and gave me a pep talk.
It looks quite stern, doesn't it? And that's probably my fault, was it, for winning it?
Don't mess with Steve when he's looking like that. But it spurred me on. You know, I bounced back and did all right. So IOM is such a fantastic tool.
If ever a photograph had a good
to improve your photography, just don't let it consume you. Just enjoy the ride, but be yourself. Let your images reflect who you are. Don't let your images be edited by someone else's influence, because it's then not your image. Go with your heart. If you want to enter something, bloody enter it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a learning process.
As I probably repeating myself, something I said earlier, you know, as long as you enjoy your photography, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
I think that is exactly it. It's photography for a lot of people. Yes, they've got businesses, but it's also a hobby. You know, I know people that shoot aircraft as the hobby. That, you know, they'll do portraiture that's their business. So enjoy it. In fact, you know, photography for me is my release from what has been my day job. If you don't enjoy it, don't bloody do it. But IOM pushes you every month to learn new things, you know, gets you out to shoot, learn new stuff in Lightroom, in Photoshop. And I think with the guild, and it's not just blowing smoke up the guild's arse, but it's such a friendly environment. You know, I've been in other places, but you ask a question in the guild and you'll get loads of really good answers. Everyone's willing to help in the guild, and I think that's such a nice place to be.
Yeah, and I think you get answers usually very quickly as well. even any time of day, because I think guild members go around the clock. It's
exactly.
a 24-hour service, isn't it, from the members?
Exactly.
It's a good place.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Mark. I think we've just gone over our hour.
Okay.
It's been fascinating, as I say. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to jump in and say a huge thank you to the both of you, because what a fantastic session.
Good. Well, I hope people have enjoyed it and hearing my dulcet tones on a Friday morning.
You've had lots of fantastic comments, Mark.
Oh, that's lovely. I haven't read them. I've been just too nervous, if I'm being.
Don't worry. I can send them over to you. And
okay, be nice.
People are asking for a session with you.
What kind of session?
An editing session.
That's actually
good you to say that. But no, you're editing, because you're such a fantastic photographer, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit. I don't. You're such a fantastic.
Not, but I see. I look at other people and just think, Jesus, that's so good. And I'm very slapdash in my editing. Sometimes I'm just a bloody animal. I don't know. I just go for it, and sometimes it works out, and other times it doesn't. I use certain things again, which is where you get your consistency in your style. But I think, I look at Gavin, he has a certain style that he can teach. Mine's a bit probably all over the place. I
think a lot of people would disagree with that.
I think you're very stylised, Mark.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things about a style, to be honest. I think we're going to go on a bit, is style is subconscious. When people say, how do you develop a style? Well, style is in you already. You've just found a way of getting it out.
I only noticed I had a style when people started commenting. I knew it was one of your shots. When I started getting those comments, then it's then you realise that you're in a style then.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter.
Analyse your work, and it will start to give up certain points, and then once you start seeing those points all the time, whether it's colour, it's subject matter, it's particular lens, it's a point you shoot from, you analyse a lot of your stuff, and it'll start to become apparent what your favourite, and that's a subconscious thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've all got our own. We all use the same software, similar cameras, go to the same places, and we all come out with different things.
Yeah,
and I think that's the thing with photography.
It is.
Brilliant.
Yes. Well, thank you guys. A really fantastic, informative session. Loads of lovely messages coming through from everyone, and some fantastic messages from you as well, Mark. Like the way you think, the way you work.
Did I swear?
You swore a few times, but it wasn't too bad. Wasn't as bad as it could have been.
I didn't know if there was any bets on the time.
Well, thank you guys. It has been a pleasure to have you both. It really has. And I'm glad Steve managed to twist your arm, Mark, to come on.
Okay. He called me off guard. Thank you.
He's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Well, this afternoon we've got exhibition hour at 2:00 with Nigel Walker, a lovely gentleman who is going to talk about, I've got it written down somewhere, The Red Dress, a journey into the metaphor. So that'll be an interesting session as well. But it's all about you guys. So thank you so much. And I hope everybody stays safe, stay well, have a good day, enjoy your Friday night, whatever you're up to.
Cool.
Thank you.
We will see you soon.
Thanks very much.
Ciao. Bye.